Every once in a while, a reality TV show stops being just, well, entertainment. It becomes a mirror, right? Reflecting these huge, messy conversations we're all having in our culture. And that is exactly what went down with the latest season of Love is Blind. And it all hinged on one single explosive moment at the altar. It all came down to this one line. This is the moment contestant Ashley Carpenter is standing at the altar, supposed to marry Alex Henderson. But instead, she delivers this absolutely stunning rejection that I'm pretty sure had everyone watching just mashing the rewind button. Because let's be honest, this wasn't just about a bad breakup on TV. When you looked at the online reaction, you saw thousands of people seeing this moment as something way, way bigger. A sign of these deep and frankly growing divides in how we think about modern dating. So to really get why this blew up, we gotta look at the couple at the heart of it all. Alex Henderson and Ashley Carpenter. Their whole journey on the show was like this slow burn of tension that just finally exploded on their wedding day. Okay, so on paper, they seemed like they were there for the right reasons. He said he wanted to look past the physical stuff, and she wanted to break her pattern of picking the wrong guys. But the cracks started to show almost right away. Alex just comes out and tells the camera she isn't his usual type, which is a huge red flag in a show that's literally about emotional connection. Meanwhile, Ashley just couldn't get on board with his kind of nomadic lifestyle. It's a classic case of two people on totally different pages. And it all ends with her calling him a loser and him just writing off her feelings as some kind of power move. And here's the crucial point. For a ton of viewers, this wasn't just about two people not getting along. They hopped online and immediately started breaking down this breakup through a really specific lens, using words you definitely don't expect to see in a typical reality TV recap. And this is where the whole conversation gets fascinating. A lot of viewers saw this fight as a textbook example of an ideology that's been bubbling up in certain corners of the internet. So to get why, we need to quickly break down what the manosphere even is. So the manosphere, you can think of it as this big, sprawling collection of online communities. And what unites them is this anti-feminist and, yeah, often misogynistic worldview. It's a space that's just grown like crazy in the last few years, especially with younger guys. And right at the heart of the manosphere is this central idea, the red pill. And yes, it is a direct reference to the Matrix. In their world, taking the red pill means you're waking up to this supposed painful truth, this belief that feminism has rigged the game against men and that men now have to fight to reclaim their dominance. So where do these kinds of manipulative tactics even come from? Well, researchers have found a really strong link between this whole red pill ideology and a psychological concept called the dark triad. I mean, just think of it as this toxic cocktail of three personality traits. You've got narcissism, which is that massive ego, Machiavellianism, which is being willing to manipulate pretty much anyone, and psychopathy, which is a really chilling lack of empathy. And you can literally see these abstract ideas playing out on the show. Viewers pointed to Alex comparing his own wedding to a penalty shootout. It was a sign he didn't see marriage as a partnership, but as a game he had to win. And he wasn't the only one. Another contestant, Chris, actually referenced Andrew Tate on the show and even shamed his fiancée about her body. Get this, his behavior was so textbook that it's now reportedly being used as an actual case study in psychology classes. Wow. And here's something really clever they do to seem more legitimate. They hijack and totally twist classical ideas. Take Stoicism. The ancient philosophy is all about rationality, virtue, self-control. But in the manosphere, it's been warped into a justification for suppressing your emotions, for dismissing your partner's feelings as irrational, and for just asserting dominance. But look, this kind of thinking isn't just stuck in some dark corner of the internet or on a reality show. It's actually a reflection of a much bigger, documented cultural shift that's happening, especially with younger generations. Some people are even calling it the rise of the new traditionalists. And the data on this is actually pretty startling. According to reporting from The Hill and CIRC, back in 2020, a majority of young men between 18 and 29 voted for Joe Biden. Fast forward to the 2024 election, and that completely flipped, with a 58% majority voting for Donald Trump. I mean, that's a huge swing that points to this growing conservative vibe that lines up with the ideologies we've been talking about. And this feeling isn't just showing up at the voting booth, it's all over our social media feeds. The trad wife aesthetic, which totally idealizes traditional gender roles, has gotten huge online. It pushes this vision of a provider husband and a submissive wife. And analysts point out that for some people, this kind of content can be a gateway to even more entrenched conservative beliefs. But is it all just about ideology? Professor Aaron Allen suggests there might be another piece to the puzzle: economics. I mean, think about it. For a generation that's facing a ton of financial uncertainty, a generation that feels like the whole American dream is out of reach, the stability that a traditional lifestyle seems to offer might be looking more appealing than ever. So all of this just makes you ask the question: how did a show that's supposed to be about finding a deep, emotional connection turn into a battleground for America's culture wars? And maybe has the show itself kind of lost the plot? According to Collider, the show that started out as this really cool, groundbreaking social experiment has kind of devolved. After 10 seasons, the argument is that it's less of a fascinating look at love and more about just creating mindless drama for us to watch. And critics point to some really specific signs of this decay. The casting seems to be finding people who are honestly completely against the show's mission. They're still obsessed with looks. The focus always shifts to producer-driven drama instead of real connection. And maybe the worst part? Serious red flags in someone's behavior aren't treated like warnings. They're treated as juicy moments to keep us hooked. So when you put it all together, you've got the on-screen drama, the ideologies bubbling underneath, and a TV format that loves conflict. What you end up with is something much bigger than just a dating show. You get love framed as a culture war. As Emily Brown wrote for Relevant magazine, the whole idea of romance on reality TV has been completely reframed. It's not a simple search for a partner anymore. No. It's a high-stakes, high-production competition. And the bigger impact here is that this kind of thinking starts to seep into our own dating culture. Relationships become less about building a real partnership and more about performing a role, playing the alpha or the trad wife or the cool girl, whatever role you think is going to win you the game. And at the end of the day, that's the real conflict here. The show's premise promises connection, but its structure, its casting, and the culture it reflects, they all deliver competition. Which leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? The show started by asking if love is blind to what someone looks like. But maybe, just maybe, the real test now is whether love can be blind to politics, to ideology, and to all these deep cultural divides that seem to be shaping everything, even how we fall in love.